Oh, that was quick. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I greet you with the love and the honor of the impotent Creator. And I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And with that said, I hope you all are doing as well as possible. It is 12:15 a.m. on May the 3rd, and Cinco de Mayo will be on this is this will be Wednesday, will be on Friday. So, yeah, I'm brushing my hair. I had got it tangled. I have been out in the woods where I'm really not supposed to be. Hey, Susie Q, how are you? Let me see if I can. Not that I really care if you all see my face, but try to be at least somehow presentable. How are you, Susie? So, my physical therapist was here for the last time, at least for now, as far as I know, and hasn't necessarily given me sleepy. Yeah, well, I'll put you the rest of the way to sleep. Rockabye baby in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. That song right there will keep me awake. You know, when the bow breaks, the cradle will fall. Down will come baby cradle. Well, what the hell are you singing that song to me for before I go to sleep? I'm going to have nightmares about that mess. And that's all there is to it. Ow. Yeah. Me and Duggar went for a walk and I got under. Sing a song about duckies or something if you're going to sleep, but the bow breaks and you're gonna die, uh down will come baby great, you sing that to the infants, um because they don't know what the hell is mommy singing, down will come baby goo goo da da, am I a baby or what, and what the hell is a bow, and what happens when it breaks, and what am I doing in a tree anyway? you know, I mean, singing songs, sing the song, the sixpence a pocket full of rye. Anyway, you know, um, some of them songs from back when we was kids, there was an old lady who swallowed a fly. I don't know why she swallowed the fly. Perhaps she'll die. Yeah, I mean, and at the end she swallows a goat, right? She's dead, of course. No, anyway, she swallows a horse. That was the last thing she swallows. So, and when I was doing the rounds with puppeteering and storytelling and all, I would sing that song. Hey, Joe. And the kids to this day still think she swallowed the bird to catch the spider that wriggled and jiggled and tickled inside her. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly, but I don't know why she swallowed the fly. Perhaps she'll die. But anyway, so this thing is jumping all around. They went up $20 on my um, Wi-Fi stuff, and I'll tell you what, we're gonna have a argument about that here in this next couple of days. I hope everyone is doing well. Last week I went through a bout of several days of some kind of stomach something that was just horrible. And it's 12:19, and I've got a little bit of a 20 loaded here. So if you all want to share, I am. But I really hope that things are going well for folks out there. So the title for tonight or this morning's um, discussion is mimicry. And I was thinking about this the other day and having a chat with with Elderberry, and we were discussing, the fact that there are people out there, there are folks out there who are really getting into this demonology and Wiccan thing and stuff, and it's like there this movement out of Christianity towards these other things that have been around for a long time, right? So, and I did a video, what, a couple of days ago or whatever, about, sacrifice. What do you have to sacrifice? And it's all in the blood and so forth. Well, here's the thing that this is not necessarily piggybacking that topic, but it sort of is. And the reason I'm saying that is because in these different religions and social events and things, there's a lot of mimicry. And you go, well, Hawkeye, what do you mean? Well, copycat. They say, "Ooh, look, that and in the business world, it's like we like that business model, so everybody moves to what you know, um, Gangan Choli is doing because they make widgets in Saipan, and and their business model is great. Well, their business model is, you barely pay for your labor. Uh, you make everybody work, 20 hours a day, and I mean, you do these things, and so the mimicry is that, and I say that because there were a lot of us good-hearted Americans who lost their jobs to Mexico because the business model was so good, you know. Well, the Mexicans work, we can work them as long as they will work, and we don't have to pay them overtime, and and it's Mexico, and we don't have to pay taxes. We don't have to do this. So they moved all of our jobs to Mexico. I mean, like right across the border in Nogales. So um there's mimicry. So these businesses, look at other businesses and go, ooh, is mimicry and trend kind of similar? Sort of, sort of. I think mimicry, I would, I, I would say yes, but sort of. Because if the trend is, ooh, everybody likes those, Air Jordans, so they want to make copycats of Air Jordans. So that is the mimicry. So the trend would be the Air Jordans, for example. The mimicry would be the knockoffs and the copycats of that, which is still part of the trend. So the trend would first be and that's you brought up a good thing there, Joe. The trend is such that people want Air Jordans. And that's one trend. And then the second trend, get this, is the mimicry. So the second trend is how many people are going to make knockoffs that look like Air Jordans or who do a similar thing. So they're tied together, I would say, in that usually when there is a trend going on, there's mimicry involved. But they hey Scotty, how are you? Um, I wouldn't say that they're the same though. You know what I mean? Because of that slight differential I just spoke about. But there are a lot of folks out there that just want to copy somebody else. I mean, they're doing dances, they're doing TikTok things, they're doing, there's the copycat. Oh, and then there's murders and shootings and things like that. So I think Wait, let me back that up. Let me hit this one more time. It's 12:25. Oh, I've been happy for a while. It just last week I was just so sick. It was hard to be anything but just here. No, I'm pretty much jovial all the time. And you know, all things considered. But thank you, Scotty. So in this mimicry thing, if one politician does something, there's another politician that wants to go, oh, look at that. So they copy certain things or they mimic certain things. So the mimicry that as I got to just, thinking about and cogitating on it and being sick last week and just sort of like, well, that's an interesting word, mimicry, and you know, mimic to it's almost like a mime, to mime something, to mimic. I didn't not look up the word, but we can all go, mimes, mimics. Well, a mime is someone who does something without using words. So, but there are folks who mimic others by using words or using similar phrases or using a certain verbal platform, I would say, and watching some of these um, others, the they, the them group, okay? What is it, David? Jovial? I've heard the song, Scotty, or was it actually called Big John? If you're talking about Big John, the one, Big John, Big Bad John, he stood 245 and nothing could pass Big John. Big John, Big John, the Big Bad John. That song? That song? Big John. I'm trying. The Jimmy Dean sang the song. Jimmy Dean, Big Bad John. Yeah, he then he later on, country western star, and then he went on to Jimmy Dean Sausage, which ain't half bad, by the way. But anyway, you know, um, nothing. I can hear the thing, Big John, Big John, a Big Bad John. Anyway, now you got that damn song stuck in my head. It's all your fault. But anyway, so the mimicry thing, but see, there was mimicry back then was songs when, copyright, the fights over copyrights wasn't near as rough as they are now, and but at the same time, was watching a this short program the other day, and to where AI is writing the words and the tune to songs now. And it's like, what? So some famous artist let AI pick out the tune and she came up with the words or something. I'm like, what? But I guess that AI is not any different than having Paul Schaefer sitting at the piano coming up with a tune, if y'all know who Paul Schaefer is. But or oh, I can't think of the Hammerstein and them back in the day when they wrote so many uh prolific songs and on Broadway and all that. And I can't think of the name of the composers now. But the mimicry and that you play a song that's similar. Like there's commercials now that Prince wrote hundreds of songs for artists. Yep, yep. And there were other folks who wrote songs. It's like, some folks don't know this, but early on, Carole King wrote songs for other people. And I saw James Taylor and Carole King in Tampa back in like 71 or 2, way long time ago, and early on in both of their careers. And nobody knew who the hell Carole King was, but she wrote songs for James Taylor, and for other folks too. But she was there in Tampa at the center, and sang some of her own songs, and you could barely see her. She's still not very tall, but she wrote a lot of songs too. And so there were a lot of folks who wrote songs. But I agree with you. We were talking about mimicry and the dark side. Yep, and the dark side. Oh yeah, that's another song too. But the mimicry of the dark side, and the video I did last about sacrifice and churches and stuff. The mimicry is that they started the Catholic Church by mimicking the pagans. Okay, they had to pull the pagan group into. I was headed back to the topic, um, because there's mimicry and artistry, but in some of the artistry, there's dark side too. There's the underbelly of the dark side of the record business, and that folks selling their souls at the crossroad. So really didn't spin off too far. But thank you for bringing me back to the main topic. But the mimicry that I'm really, was that how the Catholic Church took pagan things, and used them to establish the Catholic Church or the Christian church, because there's an altar, there's a pulpit, and there's these different things. Oh, don't worry about it, Joe. We're all friends here. And let me have another couple of hits, and we might be talking about whales. Who knows? Um, But with science fiction, for example, in the movies, I mean, for God's sakes, there's zombies everywhere. I mean, they're. I got to say that Zombieland was one of the best zombie movies when they go to what you call its house, and anyway, even subliminal messages in today's music, forwards and backwards. Yep, and that's sort of what I mean, why we weren't too far off on the music business and mimicry, because the artists today, I won't say, wait, let me back that up from the artist part. There is the opportunity with digital uh, of technology today to hide things in the music, where back in the analog days it was really difficult to do. Now you've got programs that'll write the music backwards for you. I mean, AI will do it for you. You know, so um, there's whispering in certain movements. There are movements, for example, that can stimulate and strike. I mean, there's some headbang music that I literally want to bang my head. I want to kill myself. It is so bad. you know There's some rap music that I just there's some jazz music that really noisy, like it. I just whoops, sorry. And there are folks that get off on that stuff. So it's like, to whichever kind of music, but the mimicry. So there are some folks who want to control us, and so they put these subliminal things into the text. It's not writing, but into the text, I will say, of the music or the movement or whatever. So, there is a dark side to that. I mean, you can listen to a tune and people want to go out and kill and maim and all that kind of stuff. Um, and then there's the dark side, if you will, in mimicry in advertisement. It's like who they got a man dressed as a woman to be a woman for these women's products. Now, mimicry, well, they have to mimic the trend. See, Joe, I came around to use your word. That the trend is this person, and all this, and ooh, look at me, and and so um so now that is the trend, which is people are starting to mimic the trend. Okay. So there's the Air Jordan shoes, if you will, that is the trend. The person on the Bud Light cans kind of thing, that's the trend. But then others are going to mimic that with like Maybelline and other outlets and stuff like that. So it's an issue started out as a trend, like you brought up, Joe, and but now it's starting to be mimicked. Hey, Steve, how are you? I hope you're doing well, and I hope things are working out for your brother and family, etc. Um, I've sent a bunch of prayers out there, and fingers crossed. So, but with this mimicry, though, there are folks who are copying stuff just left and right, and and trying to mimic their counterpart or mimic another business, or they see something on the other side of the planet and it's a copycat thing. Well, copycat, ain't that a mimic? Isn't that to mimic something to copy it? You know, so copycat, mimic, that would be right in there. Well, good, Steve. Eating Italian sausage stew. Oh, wow, that sounds pretty good. So anyway, and but my when I was originally thinking about mimicry, it was about the church, and it was about how, you know, the Christians have copied pagan rituals, okay? And they copied other things from other religions and other faiths and other times and things, and brought them into the now, if you will. But the one would say that the Catholic Church now, because of all the changes they've made since 1964, especially after the Second Ecumenical Council. Everything's turned around. They're dancing in the aisles. There is just, if you was to say that that's the Catholic Church, I don't recognize it. You see, and I don't want to go to one of those churches. If it was the old style mass, I might actually go to a Catholic church to a mass, and maybe even participate. But the idea, though, that um, the Catholic Church, because of the trend of society, the church has changed their rules to mimic what the trends are in society. So the Catholic Church has mimicked society. They're doing these things and that, blah 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 blah. And so many things. So 2,000 years ago, they mimicked the pagan stuff to get folks to come to their side and to come to church and to become a Christian and to get eaten by a lion, or a tiger or a bear, oh my. So they followed the yellow brick road, through the Catholic Church and through the last 2,000 years. But then somehow society seemed to think that the church needed to mimic society rather than just leave the church alone. So, so there you go. So, but the church, not just the church, but different churches have mimicked other um, topical events, you know. Um, Culture has modified us to where, you know, what side of this mimicry are we on? Well, some would say, well, so we copied a pair of Air Jordans. Where's the dark side of that? Well, but you copied somebody's stuff. And there are people involved who they got to do it just right, or they can't copy it, or they can't. So, in a way, it's a little subservient in a way. Uh, Dang, what was that? Just felt like something just bit me. What was that all about? Hmm. Interesting. So, but the dark side of things is that there are folks out there who are copying some of these. Oh, I want to do. I want to do some. A little bit of witchcraft or Wiccan. And some Wiccan I don't have a bit of problem with. I really don't. There's some other Wiccan that's borderline on, you got to kill something or you got to do something. You're asking somebody to give up something. There's a sacrifice in the deal. And I'm like, if you just can't say a prayer and light a candle without asking, something of the universe, hey, Katniss, to make this person love me, I'm going to say an incantation and Katniss is going to fall madly in love with me. And, bullshit, no offense to you, but Katniss, but using you as a bad example, I reckon. But in that, that I would want to force someone into a situation, whatever that situation is. So there are folks out there who are mimicking these actions, okay, and these actions for whatever good they think they're doing. Most of the time, it's for themselves. So it's for their own self gratification or whatever. So that's leading into the dark side big time because now there are folks who think it's just cool to do these sorts of things, to mimic what's on television or to mimic this. Well, a friend of mine, he or she does this type of Wiccan ceremony all the time, or they do this thing, or they go out in the neighborhood and kill stray cats, or maybe they got a person locked up in the basement, God forbid. They got a dungeon or something. But anyway, leftovers. Oh yeah, leftovers. It depends on what's being left over, though. Like spaghetti. But so anyway, so there are folks that are mimicking some of these things. Like me and my bout with years ago, there was a trend, and folks were doing sigils. And I warned folks, I said, y'all stay away from that. Y'all just stay away from that mess. You're going to get in trouble. And there were some folks that even told me, look, Hawkeye was right. This got me in trouble, and y'all need to stay away from this. Hey, Miss Michelle, it's a good morning here so far. You got 15 minutes before it's morning for you, though, Michelle. Yeah, and it's still 11:45 to me too here, though. But so there's mimicry going on with people thinking, oh well, oh, that's okay to do this, or but there won't be any harm, or I don't see where this is going to be a problem, and so they are mimicking people. Some of them from some YouTube videos, um, and in that they're reciting some type of incantation or spells possibly, and hey Mossy man, how you doing? And that's mimicry. Okay, well, they're doing it, why don't I? Or is that like a peer pressure kind of mimicry? Well, we were all sitting together and watching this, live stream, and this guy said it would be a good idea, and so we participated. Okay, you know, well, want to be like these people, right? If I want to be part of the crowd, then I gotta do this. Then so I got is that copycat or is that or that's you got to mimic other people to do what in order to stay with part of the group, right? It's like, for example, and I don't see many people using it anymore, and I wouldn't use it, and for all the reasons I stated 2 years ago. Bosto, that was a trend, and everybody was saying Bosto, and I was like, what is this Bosto thing? And so, but the basic meaning behind it was okay, but that it got to be mimicked then. People were saying it just because everybody else was saying it. And that was part of my problem with it. Everybody's using it because, ooh, now it's clicky and it's a trend but where is it now? Where where is it now? Where is Bosto now? But folks now have I'm favored to you. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There really wasn't anything wrong with Bosto except that it was just Bosto this and Bosto that and back and forth, and it was like holy crap. But that's because people were in a copycat mode, and they wanted to mimic their friends for whatever reason, but it happened. So y'all can look back on one of the trends. Um, yeah, I know, Mossy man, and that's not my point. But there are other folks you might bring it up, and other folks will copy it, and that's the mimic part of it. They pick up something that's really groovy for and so they mimic you to make them for whatever reason. You're pointing out that the spirit of the original meaning is lost when the trend becomes viral. Yeah, because then folks are just doing it willy nilly. They're just, basto, basto. That's like, you know, the namaste thing has calmed down. Every time I turned around, it was namaste, namaste. And the next person who said namaste, I wanted to literally choke the living shit out of them, at least to the point of turning red. And they're like, okay, get grasp for air, like acid wash jeans. Yeah. Why would they want to use up all that acid anyway? I've not been around much. Sorry, I lost my dad a month ago. He was cremated yesterday. Wow, that's very interesting. I'm sorry, but I'm glad that the cremation went. I'm a guessing, and so now you got to figure out what you're going to do with the ashes. Well, we love you and hope that everything will work out. But yeah, condolences. Thank you, Joe. I could never think of that word. And much love to you. But so anyway, with this, the namaste thing, it's like it had, Joe, as you were pointing out, it had sort of lost its meaning, you know, and it was just, the word was just being tossed around. And I would just, me personally, I was just like, come on now, um, cut it out, everybody. Namaste. Well, somebody entered the chat room and everybody was namaste all the way down, 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 down. It was like, God Almighty, Jesus, that they had to say it because everybody else said it. That's the mimicry. Now, what's the dark side of that, you say? Well, I think Joe brought it up, or was it you, Scotty? Um, that when you are frivolous about using the word or using a phrase, or peace be unto you, my brothers and sisters, you know, um, wait, we can say things that after a while that they what we say then doesn't carry as much meaning as we it used to. Well, have a great day. Have a great day. Have a good day. Have a good day. Have a good day. Great. Have a good day. Have a great day. Have a good day. Have a good day. Have a great day. Have a good day. Working at a store. Have a great day. Have a good day. Have a great day. Have a great day. Have a good day. Have a good day. How many fucking times have you said it in the daytime? You're the person behind the counter, and there are people coming. Have a great day. Have a good day. But I always look at the person when I say it. That's the difference. You have a great day. You all have a great day. Yeah, waters it down. That's a good way of putting it, Michelle. And so it makes it frivolous. Yeah. Yeah, and intent matters. I tried what's cracking sugar smacking. It never took hold. Yeah, I've tried some things too. There's nothing wrong with saying, have a great, no, there's nothing wrong with it, Susie. And I still say it all the time. But there are people who just toss it around like, have a good day, have a great day, because they're expected to say it. Okay, that's my point. So, but that there are people though that I meet who you make eye contact with and you say, have a great too, you too. And it's meant, there's intent there versus just repeating a phrase, is my point. So, but what's the dark side of some of this is that it loses its meaning, and not that have a great day. Do not be a repetitive robot. Yeah. Um, but so anyway, I wanted to bring this up because the mimicry thing, and it's already been 40 minutes almost. Um, and I didn't mention it in my last video about this, talking about sacrifice. So, there are those folks who, the mimicry in commercials. Well, you got to do this in order, Carvana. Now there's all kinds of apps and things where you can buy a car. Now, I'm sorry. If I'm going to spend $35,000 on a freaking vehicle, I want to look at that puppy. I'm going to buy something online on it. Oh, look, Martha, we're going to buy this car. Seriously? You're not going to kick the tires or get in? You're not going to lift the hood? Well, you can get your money back and blah, blah, blah. Um, 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 uh, you know, and so there's mimicry, and look how quick we can do these deals. And all you need is an app, you know? So the mimicry is everybody's got to have an app to do something with. Everybody's got to have slide over here and you too can check your car out, blah, blah, blah. That's right, Katniss. I forgot. Yeah, I wish I could come to the UK. I wish I could just go across the pond, and visit just take a month and and go through Europe. Oh, you're welcome, Joe. Yep, it's my Tuesday night, Wednesday mornings. But so anyway, in this thing about mimicry, I just wanted to bring it up to like bring your attention to it. And you go, well, yeah, peace out, Joe. Sleep well. I'm not going to make this a 4-hour video myself, but I did absolutely want to bring it up. Um, in that, how many things, you know, it's the things to not. Is there anything we can do about it? No, except that do you want to participate in the trend that Joe brought up, or do you want to participate in the mimicry and you just want to, you know, you think it's cool, so therefore you want to do it and 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 do it. Or is it something that you really feel that you want to do and you pick it up for yourself, and you do it? Um, so are we trying to mimic each other, or do we really, you know, oh, I saw this guy do this and I want to try it? Yeah, okay. Well, that's sort of copycat and it's sort of mimicking, yeah, good for you, Scotty. But so for example, there's Cole and Jay, or Jay and Cole. They're a husband and wife team that go fishing all the time. They got YouTubes. They do 2-hour videos of them fishing, and it's great. The two of them catching fish is just. I love watching her catching fish, and they are just a great team. Young couple, especially compared to me. Got another baby on the way, kind of thing. And so, but watching them fishing, I have got the bug to go fishing so bad. I just I've watched other folks fish or whatever, but I watched these two fishing, and it's like I can't stand it, So I'm getting my back better. I'm outside, and walking around. Today was my last day with my therapist, and I'm ready to go hit the water. I'm ready to go fishing. In fact, this month I have to renew my yearly fishing license. And so I gotta, I haven't been able to walk around much. So, but now I can get back outside, and so I got to get to my fishing gear, and get my tackle box out and find out where stuff is. I think I'm going to end up with at least a new reel. If not, I don't know about a new rod, but I'm going to end up with a new reel because mine are just old and decrepit. And last time I tried to cast with them, it was like, yeah. So might end up with a new reel, but and I'm working out a deal with a friend of mine who needs some money, and I just so happened to be able to help him out. So he's got a 14-foot bass boat kind of deal. It's not the kind of boat that I would normally want to buy, but it's got a trailer, it's licensed, it's registered, and I can put my motor right on it. And I've got a motor that's been sitting out here in the back now for 12, 15 years, and I've been wanting so bad to use this little outboard, and it used to run, and it used to putz us up and down all right. Wow, there's some lag going on. But so I'm gonna help a friend of mine out, and I'm gonna get to go fishing. And also I'll be able to motorboat around, and also do some video too. So I might even be able to do some fishing type video. That would be cool, because this boat is such that I could actually put a tripod up on it. Um, so but just being able to get out, and at 70, I just can't pick these things up and put them on my truck. And I'm not going to give up my kayaking. There ain't no way. But I can't fish with Duggar in the boat, and it's hard to fish in the kayaks for me. And I'd rather be in a more stable situation if I'm going to fish, like my canoe. But since I can't lift my canoe and move it, but anyway, so things are working out in a couple of weeks. Hey, that way. Yep, I'm working on it. I still got a good deal of pain. But when I found out last Monday, not this week, but 10 days ago, that there wasn't anything physically wrong with my back, and that nothing had slipped out of place, but that my a lot of my pain issue is not fluid from the spine, but fluid around the spine, like swelling. And that's causing me a good deal of discomfort, let me tell you. But since there ain't nothing broken, I got to just work through it. So I've been walking around the yard and doing little chores here and there, and it feels good to get back outside again. And did a little walk down towards the edge of the woods today. I wanted to check on a couple of trees that I saw this winter, and they're cherry trees, and they're long and straight. And I wanted to see if they was off the ground or what their condition was, because as soon as I can, I need to get down there and cut them puppies up before the bugs eat that wood. Two cherry trees, nice big long, like 30 footers kind of thing. mm. But so anyway, um but in moving around, despite the pain, you just got to move through it. And now that I found out there's nothing like, sticking out or nothing broken or whatever, I'm like, the heck with this. I haven't been able to run yet, but I'm getting back around in the yard and doing stuff. But I want to, I want to mimic other people. I want to mimic doing exercises. I want to mimic getting better and pushing through these things. And wait, is that mimic? Is that a copycat? Well, you've got to bulldoze through this, Dave. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And wait, no, is that mimicry? You know, on my part. Well, when people do cherry wood, good hardwood, great for smoking fish. Oh, I hate using it for smoking. I do. I just it leaves a taste that to me. And I know some other people who like, oh, they swear by cherry wood for smoking stuff. And I'm like, yuck, ew. Y'all ain't, we got a lot of pecan wood around here. And I got a crap load of oak like everywhere around here. So, and seasoned oak. So, why would you use cherry wood, especially when it's so great for furniture and carving and all these other great things that cherry wood's really good for, other than burning and ruining a piece of meat? Oh, well, Scotty boy, I've never, I don't know if I've ever used it for fish. Take it slow until you're fully. Oh, the muscle and everything is fully healed. The I saw the MRI of before and after, and the doctor did a really good job. He really did. So what's broken with me is the fact that I've been operated on twice in less than 6 weeks ago, and it was major operations, and my back still, it still has to get back to whatever normal is. Um, oh, apple and pear wood. Ooh, I've got some pear wood around that's really good for smoke and stuff, you know. But I've never tried cherry wood on fish. I do have to admit that. But I have used cherry wood over the years, and I'm just not fond of it for, using it to to smoke anything, especially when I got all this good oak and all these other hardwoods. And I don't have any hickory, but there are other folks that do. But um and I don't have any um, um, large pecan trees on the property, but there's a lot of orchards around in my area, and all I got to do if I'm driving to town and I'm gonna do some cooking outdoors, I'll stop by one of the orchards and grab a couple of limbs and bring them home, and break them up here. But yeah, I went to the store. My buddy Rob took me to the store on Monday, and I was able to go to the IGA store, and I picked up some pork chops and a T-bone for me and Duggar, and some chicken, because I was talking about doing homemade chicken and noodle soup, and my mouth started watering. I was like, I don't have any chicken, no. So now I got some chicken. Uh, Duggar's got bones to chew on. Good night, Steve. And I've been thinking about the barbecue thing because it's been, like 3 months since I've done anything like that, and I'm like ready. So here within in the next couple of days, old Hawkeye's going to be out barbecuing, with some of that hardwood I've got that I didn't burn in my heater because it got too warm too quick. But so back to the the mimicry thing. There are so many folks that they want to buy the same kind of car, or oh, I'm going to get an electric car. Halibut steak tonight. Oh, that sounds good. But there's mimicry in things. Oh, I gotta have that thing, or I gotta have the romps. I heard from Halibut. You heard from him. I missed the joke. There's got to be a joke in there. But so anyway, and I'm not necessarily saying that mimicry is a bad thing, but we can look at yeah, keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah, so that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know, but there are things out there that people are mimicking that are not such good things, you know, like, oh, I can check this out on my neighbor, or I can dine and dash, or I can that who I saw this in a movie, we're all going to stick the waitress with the bill, or something, do something else. Only steak barbecue discussion. Oh. Well, here's the thing, and lone wolves, Mossy Man, to bring that up, and there are things that are going on the other side of the planet. Okay, I mean, just some of them are really horrendous, and then you find out that there are horrendous things happening on this side of the planet. And I was scratching my head the other day, for various reasons, and thinking, now, wait a minute, there's a similar incident that happened in India. I'm making this up. This incident happened in India. Oh, well, wait a minute, but there's a similar incident in Bangor, Maine, and there's a similar incident in South America, or there's a similar incident, in um, you know, in Bumfuck, Egypt. Um, but but the idea though that mimic there is mimicry going on, and I'm literally thinking in my head that there's somebody out there or something out there that is pushing a psychic agenda. Okay. I know this is way out there, but a psychic agenda of evil. All right. Because, somebody that's in China out somewhere that does this thing, and somebody in Bangor, Maine does this similar thing. What ties them together? Well, you and me and the rest of us here, as I've discussed, we're all members of the League of Like Minded Beings simply because we ask the question. We want to know more. We're interested in the universe. And so we are like minded in how we think. So, my question, sort of, or observation, is that we of the League of Like Minded Beings who none of us would, I don't think, are thinking about, wanting to kill something and let the blood out and blah 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 and hang its skin up, unless you're, shooting deer, and unless you're my neighbor, Miss Sheila, who does those things. You know, I know the movie Mimic, yeah, and I watched that years ago, and I can't remember it, but um So the mimic thing, it's sort of like copycat killers. I think there was another shooting today, another mass murder. And it's like, oh, and I wonder who, what kind of gun they used, or a knife, or did they use a staple gun, for God's sakes, or a nail gun, that would really hurt. I've had things nailed into me. So, and a guy with tattoos all over him. Yeah, no blood sacrifice. But anyway, so the mimic is not just in a trend, and you go, "Ooh, I think I'm going to copycat that." But there seems to be another kind of mimic going on, and there are good mimics. Okay, there is somebody who did a good deed for somebody in Germany, and then somebody that did a good deed in Australia, and then somebody did a good deed in, so the mimic isn't just about evil. But when you listen to the news, what does the news do? They always give you those, most of the time, those things that are evil or wicked, mean, bad, and nasty. So it's like, oh, this evil thing happened over here, or this evil thing happened over there. And, oh, yeah, fresh brewed coffee. Yeah, it's too late for coffee now. But yeah, in the morning. Um, So the mimicry thing, though, you'd almost wonder if somebody literally didn't like write down an outline and give it out to the universe. And then folks said, "Ooh, I think I'm going to do this." Oh, yeah, I'm a coffee addict. Yeah, my cup's sitting right here. When I finished the last of it when I was doing Robert show. But so I just was curious in that things happen, in different parts of the world now that you would swear they copycatted it. Well, but that same thing happened over there. Well, that same thing, or really similar, happened over there. So how did they get there? You know what I mean? So I'm wondering seriously if there ain't and I ain't gonna say the devil, but maybe that there's an evil entity out there, or entities maybe, that are putting these things into the universal realm of thinking. And if these people are tuned into, like, well, they've been killing kitty cats in the neighborhood since they was little kids, which I didn't do that sort of thing, but I knew some kids are dead. What are they doing now? Or they've got little Sally locked up in a dungeon. Hopefully not. But I mean, so what leads a person to have a particular propensity to do something, right? To pull the wings off of you know dragonflies or something, right? So, but this idea that this notion is out there in the universe, regardless of how it got there. But like I said, my curiosity is such that, are there just a bunch of evil people thinking about, well, let's all go pull the wings off of flies, or let's all go, kill the neighborhood cat and dissect it, or you know what I mean? So is it just out there? So when these bad behaviors show up, Barry, how goes it? Now you're a copycat, huh? Well, I want a copy. It's 117 by this one. Shit, let me incoming. What? I didn't catch that one. Monster Man, gotta sleep, working early. Okay, Monster Man, it's always good to see you. So, there are people who do good things, but we could say, well, it's all the Christian churches who are promoting positive things. And so, this positive thinking in the universe for all these Christians are, people are going to be doing good deeds, and they're going to be given to the poor and feeding the hungry. Okay, in a way that's mimicry. And there's nothing wrong with mimicking, starting a food line, or, feeding folks. There ain't nothing wrong with that. But flip that to the dark side. So there's another mass shooting. Well, where did this person get this idea? From other mass shootings? From other people on the dark web? If you're thinking about killing anything, really, I mean, if you're sitting around and you're contemplating going deer hunting, that is not the same thing. But if you're sitting around contemplating shooting your neighbor, or a classmate, or I'm going to get up in the middle of the night and murder, I'm going to be like Lizzie Borden, well, hang on a minute. So where did that mimicry come from? Are there beings, these like-minded beings, who have like-minded evil thoughts, that's where they get the mimic from? I'm sort of inclined to to believe my hypothesis, okay? Because there is enough of us with positive energy, then why can't this dark side exist? It's a yin and a yang. So, it's the lambda, it's the little boys and men group. There are these little groups all over the world. Well, then they all start to get together and go, hey, look, we're all going to get together and and pedo little boys. You want to get together and join us? Well, there might be some little boys who might, um, like that sort of thing. Now, one of the things that I'm going to mention, I was molested when I was 13 and had never had any kind of sexual thing happen to me or whatever, because that would have been like in 19, let's see, 13 years old, 62, 63, 64, 1965. I'm going after another spike next winter before they shed. Yeah. But so here's the thing. I'm molested by this man, okay? Now, I gotta say that despite the molestation, getting well, I gotta just say it. Getting sucked off felt really, really good. Okay. And but it was by a man. It was not, blah, blah, what the hell's going on? So here's this unnatural thing, at least to me, but it felt really good. Okay. Well, wait a minute. There are some people who've never, some guys who've never had that happen, male or female, right? And so, but here's the trick. Oh my God, it's oh, I missed it. I'm so here's this perverted thing that, oh my God, I was just molested, but holy cow, that really felt freaking good. Holy mackerel! Wait a minute now? So no, I don't want to be a gay man, but holy crap, that felt good. Let's be honest here. That felt good. But wait a minute. Now I'm a Catholic, and here's this molested thing. Now here are these priests that want to do similar things to me, and they're grabbing a hold of me and they're tugging on me, and they're doing all these things, and 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 it feels good. Oh my God, somebody's yanking on your thing, and you're blah blah blah, and but oh my God, it's not right. It's a sin, and it's a guy, and whoa. So there's all these conflicting things. So, but in that there's mimicry. All right, mimic. What do you mean mimic? Well, there's going to be, you got to put your hands on you, and they have to do a particular thing, quote, to arouse you, male or female. You're going to get rubbed one way or the other to kind of sort of arouse you if that's the thing. So, but in that though, um, where did who came up with these ideas on different parts of the planet at the same time? Was it a bunch of Christians thinking about it? You know? So, but the mimicry of things, so there are things being mimicked when people have never actually seen somebody else do it. Hey, Mark, the ark. And then they say it's my turn. What? That's why they target children. Yeah. Sick minds see easy prey. Yep. Oh, it messed me up. Being molested and the fact that, I mean, it felt good, but I was molested, but it still felt good. Oh, the creepy weirdness that it sets up in your brain. And and you don't want to be this way. I mean, I went to therapy for years, and the idea that you have to separate, well, with the right partner, well, it's acceptable, it's when it's the wrong partner or whatever, and but anyway, then it becomes perverted, right? So, but anyway, I'm late on the 20. So what I am proposing, oh, that tasted good. There's a big wait. So I am absolutely suggesting that there is the dark side is creating s- some of this evil mimicry. All right. However, it gets produced, whether it's subliminal to radio or movies or TV programs or whatever, I'm strongly suggesting that because of some of these similar incidents around the world, evil incidents, and people getting cut up, just evil things, that it is being produced by a common, it might be the evil aliens. Um, but just like there is good vibes on the planet, there is a subversive radio station out there that's, I can't pick it up, but folks who are subverted in their own brains, who are pulling wings off of things and legs, you know what I mean? Um, that they're, instead of them being in tune to us and our league of like-minded beings, they're tied into the dark side of, pulling wings off of things. And so they're all drawn to that, just like pedos are drawn to things, or folks are, cooking shows, or golfers, or whatever. Um, so there are those folks who are going to be drawn to these things. So in that is that mimicry. And I think so, because some of these evil things are like, what? How did this guy come up with it over there? And then it came up over here. But anyway, so one of the things that I want to be, um, uh, I want to be, wait, let me back that up a little bit. That I want folks to pay attention to, not for me, not for whatever, but for their own sake. Are you doing something out of mimicry that you just seen somebody else do it? I mean, if we're going to a football game and we all do the wave or something, but if if you're doing something to keep up with the Joneses, for example, is there anything wrong with it? Well, it depends. For yourself, why are you doing it? Always ask that question. Why? Why am I doing? Why am I have to keep up with the Joneses? Why do I have to have a new car? Why do I have to have, you know, what whatever it might be? So, it might be that because you can't afford it, and there are a lot of people who um, push themselves beyond what they can, um, adequately, participate with. So, in this world of stuff, the mimicry, are you miming someone? Are you following a trend? And I don't see anything wrong with following a trend or even copycatting certain things. Some stuff is funnier than hell. And other stuff is just like, like I said before about the namaste. Everybody was trying to be spiritual and namaste. And we ever with namaste and blah, 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 and namaste until it had become almost meaningless. I think, as Michelle had said, um, why not buried? What? Somebody other's hands and legs off with a machete. Yeah, one day for the Evil Dead movies. Yeah, a joint. at 16. Been smoking since. Yeah, I understand, Susie. Yeah, PTSD. It's when you can take three hits off of something, especially if it's halfway decent, and take that deep breath, and you can feel yourself just. And everybody who's smoked a joint and knows what that feeling is, that it takes the stress out. So PTSD, and you're shaking and you're stressful, and so shaken and stressful. So smoke this joint and quit being stressful. I can't smoke anymore. Too many things happening too fast now. Need my wits about me at all times. Oh, there were times, Mark, where the the only way I could be normal was to go smoke. I tried staying straight during certain things, and I was just like, now I ain't talking about getting so met, but I'm talking about, me and my little pipe, and put a little in it and take a couple of drags and just, and I'm good to go. I am good to go. There a problem? Is there just something I need to work out of this? Or if I'm working outside or I'm whatever. Um, but then now this don't work for everybody. I know. But when I was having issues with machines breaking all the time, and I'd say, okay, guys, I'm taking a break, and I'd go get my little pickup truck, and there was a very large block that I drove around, and I'd put me a couple of hits in my bowl in my little woody, and I'd take a couple of hits and then dust off with a little bit of smell and go back to work, and whatever it was, boom, I'd go back and sit at my desk and shake it off and take a deep breath and dive into the problem and fix it. Other people, they'd be so messed up, they'd be like, "Wow," and me, whatever that little thing is, that little 3, 4 hit click in my brain to get me into that spot. I've tried to get to that spot without smoking anything. I've gotten close, but taking 3 hits and then going puts me in a different wavelength. I don't know what it is. And I've tried both ways over the many years, and I just gave up and said, screw this. I'm taking 3 hits. 420 is not bulletproof, I heard, but that's life in Hawaii. Weed was everywhere, but it helps a lot of people. By the seventh grade, it was just every day. I waited until I was out of high school. So I was 17, when I before I smoked weed. But I'd been smoking cigarettes and cigars since I was 13. So, had a 4-year jump on the cigarette smoking. A military gulag? Yuck. That sounds horrible. Yeah, now see, there are folks. There's one guy that I knew. He'd go out in a smoking lot. He'd go out in the poking lot. Yeah, here, let me have another hit of this. I'm getting tired. And it's late. And I've had my meds, I think. No, I still got to take my go to bed med. There was this one dude I worked with. He'd go out in the parking lot at lunchtime, break time, and roll up the windows and just smoke it out like Cheech and Chong. And then come back in, and he'd be so blistered, man. He'd be so Chinese eyed. No offense to the Chinese, but "Oi, also, I you come to you," and he would just be blistered, and it'd be like it'd take him 45 minutes for him, from what wandering around. Where'd I put my pencil? And he'd have it in his ear, and he really wouldn't know where it was. And then he'd look for his tape measure, and then he'd look for this, and then and 20 minutes later, he still ain't done no work. And we used to laugh at him. Where for me, I'd 3 or 4 hits just to get that edge off and to take a deep breath. I'd go back in and I'd haul ass back to work. I'd be busting ass. Usually by second break, whatever, uh, if working in a machine shop, you had here's a box of stuff, and they all need to have a hole drilled in them. Okay, so they don't tell you you have to do this within an hour. They say get these done as soon as possible, right? So, but I could get them done in an hour, right? And so then they'd look around and go, well, that guy, it took him 4 hours, and he had the same amount of pieces that I did, but instead of taking 4 hours, it only took me 1 hour, and I got the same amount of part. So I got 3 hours. I'm like do because I'm caught up. But but weed affects people in different ways, and the amount of weed that I know that I'm safe with to get me when I can feel myself change that notch, that whatever it is that clicks into gear, that I can have not been able to achieve otherwise, dang it. But I don't have to smoke the whole joint in order to get there, is my point. Where other people, they just get blistered and, well, yeah, I smoke and I go back to work, but nah, you got blistered. You know, I just got I just got to my happy place. I stop by every desk I walk by to say hi, what's going on. Uh yeah, see, Scotty boy, I was the same way when I was working. And that's why 700 people, well, 500 out of 700 gave me a going away party. So I get it. In Australia, it's not allowed. It's illegal. So I only smoke. Oh, it's not allowed where I live either. But I take my little chance. And it really is a shame that it's against the law. I've been busted twice. So with helicopters in my backyard years ago. Yep, there's a big X where I live. The dead end. What do you mean by the video title? Mimicry. Well, I've been talking about it for the last hour and almost a half. Now they say the water goes opposite below the equator. So would you get stoned different if you were in Australia versus if you were above the equator? Just asking. Yeah, okay. I'll put it into context. There's a lot of mimicry in the world. So, Niles, I don't know if you saw my video about sacrifice that I did last week. And you've heard me talk about the Catholic Church before. And I'm not trying to down religion, just be aware of what the real truth is. But for Christianity to start, they based the Christian religion on certain pagan things, like having an altar and having different that they based it upon certain pagan ceremonies and traditions, and they turned pagan thingies into the Christian religion. And folks can argue that fact all they want to, but all they want to, but it is a fact that that's how they got the pagans to migrate over, because they were like, well, well, where's the altar? Where do you have it? Where's the priest? You gotta have we gotta have a congregation. We gotta have people to bow their heads, and we have to worship, and we have to do these things. So um, the Catholic Church mimicked pagan traditions and other things and put them into practice. So there is mimicry. In other words, it mirrors it almost. If folks were to compare the Black Mass to a regular Catholic Mass back in the day, uh, I was flabbergasted when I first made the comparison myself. So, but there's mimicry, and well, you got to wear robes, and so, and then you have to have a this, and then, in my subject of the other day, last week ish, was that, the Lamb of God, the bloodletting, the sacrifice, everything is a sacrifice. So in Satanism and demonology, there are sacrifices and bloodletting, and so it is also in with the Christian religions, in the Lamb of God and the blood of Jesus, and washed in the blood. I've sang these songs in church, washed in the blood of Jesus. And so it's like, wait a minute, that's just damn gross. So, but anyway, but the mimicry is not just in the church and those things that are similar. Okay. Now, good things in the church, they're all praying for good and God. And if you're the demonology, that's bad. And the other thing, I ain't talking about what they're worshiping for. I'm talking about the modus operandi, the vehicle with which they use. Okay, they use an altar. They use they use they use uh, imagery. They use songs. They use bells. They use candles. They use their So one sort of mimics the other in certain ways. Now, so but in the rest of the world, there's mimicry in and we were talking about it when Joe was here. I think he's gone out. Are you musicians to put on that too, dead end, to put on satanic shows. I There is that too. Um, that not only they have to mimic what they think people want. Now they may actually want it, but a lot of musicians are going for the show. So if there are people out there and they go, ooh, they wanted, what you call it, to bite the head off of a snake back in the day. I can't think of his name, but Alice Cooper, and then there was this one, and then there was that one, and everybody had to be just a little bit more something. So, but then there are folks these days, back in the day, in my day in the 60s and 70s, I think it was much more of a mimicry. Okay. They were just mimicking what folks, I think some of these folks now, some of the musicians, they're actually doing it. I don't think they're copying or whatever. I think they're actually doing it, you know. Now they are copycatting what demonologists or Satanists are professing. Okay. So, in that, they are mimicking what the Satanists think is, and doing the bull thingy. And, if I make it, I'm hoping to end up in Texas. Scotty Boy, you're in California. Scotty, are you North or Southern Cal? I have. I've been to Northern California and been through the big redwoods and stuff up there. Oh my God, Northern California up there is just that's freaking gorgeous up there. But the furthest south I went, Fresno, so you're way down. That does not mean I have turned away from Catholicism. I believe more than ever. Okay, didn't. Um, but just know that how it got started, and that's the truth, you know, and the similarities to other things. But I mean, keep it. It's what's in your heart that matters. You know, I just couldn't be a Catholic anymore because they changed so much stuff, and the pedophile thing with me. But but I'm still about prayer. I'm still about, I still believe in Jesus. I'm still a warrior for Christ. It's just all this nonsense in between I don't believe in, so I'll stand up for another Christian in a heartbeat, you know, uh, as long as their belief in Christ is like genuine, and it's not about, but the Bible. No, no, no. If you're gonna go to this Bible thing, then I don't want to talk about it. If you want to talk about Jesus and you want to talk about the Christ and you want to, then I'm on your side. But you want to go back into the Old Testament and stuff? Nah. Go on. Just sorry. You know, two comments above that one. I agree. What? Ozzy bit the head off a bat and then got a series of shots. Big mistakes. Yeah. There were things that people would do on a dare. There are things that I've done on a dare that I look back and go, man, what the hell? Of course, I was severely drunk, messed up, probably coked up. And, would I do that again? No. Has some of these folks done some things? Yeah, but my my question to ask y'all is though, did they do it because they were being Satanists or devil worshippers, or were they doing it to mimic a devil worshiper? Because doing a show and they're selling the show. So, as a puppeteer and storyteller, you do some things to make people laugh, and you might fall down, and you do and then later on, your hip is hurt, and you go, "Fuck, what did I do that for?" And I landed wrong, but the audience would never know that you just threw your back out of whack. But they laughed their ass off for 5 minutes, so it was worth it, but they don't see the pain afterwards. So, but so are these musicians actors? Are they putting on the show of devil and the Satan thing? Because most of these folks that are doing this ain't got a clue what they're doing it for. But the folks who were doing this, really with the horns, the devil horns, they really know what they're doing. You know, so this is mimicking and being part of the group. Yeah, man, cool. Yeah, yeah. And then there are the people who are doing shit and they're going like this and they're meaning it. It's sort of like doing the sign of the cross in public or doing this or, you know. But anyway, so one is a mimic and one is like the real deal. I also believe that I'm nothing I have to do with something. What is earthly brew? Thanks. It was boring me. Yeah, well, I don't know about all of it, Scotty, but you know, I did some crazy things back in the day. I think we will always need a counterbalance. In my opinion, we can absorb both sides to combine one. Well, we're already doing it, um, Niles. this planet is an entity, you know, and so there are the mimicry of good things going on. There is the mimicry of the musicians and the this and and there's that going on. And then there is this showing up just downright evil, wicked, meaning, shootings and beheadings and killings and stabbings and, you know, people getting, you know, put into dungeons and men, women, boys, girls, just it's just wrong. But it is going on. And as much as we want it to go away, I did a video a little while back, and I was talking about how in the universe, evil's never going to go away. As much as bad as we want it to go away, it ain't never going away because we have to have the light and the dark. And as much as I'm all for the light and I'm praying for for praying for peace, there's still there's still gonna be negative things going on. As much as I don't like it, hate it, gonna pray against it, there's gonna be, nasty shit going on out there, whether I like it or not. Boy, I got cotton mouth. Ooh, hang on. My tongue won't move. 90% of protesters and wow, really? Up on the bandwagon. Yep. That's a good one, Scotty. I have never done anything wrong in the name of anything other than stupidity. Yep. I don't know. I'm in the first Gulf War. My brother was on a ship in the Gulf of whatever that is between Egypt and the Saudi Arabia, I guess there, the Suez Canal. Anyway, they were escorting ships through there. And they were under attack with PT boat kind of things, really fast boats, armed with a 50 caliber and a couple of rockets and really fast. And these puppies were doing 45 and 50 miles an hour on the water, so they're really trucking. But so I protested that war. I think it was with first Bush. But anyway, I was, I went down to Tallahassee and became part of the movement. My brother was in the Navy. And, I was against that shit. I am against war. Um, but I became involved in that one and actually went and physically stood and protested. Now, back in the hippie days, we protested things and we all got together, but there, I was so messed up. I don't remember what we were protesting back then. I think it was the Vietnam War. So I have been an anti-war protester for a while. But other than that, now land and where the government has, gotten in the way and forced landowners to do things, I've protested against that. Um, but so, I did it not because everybody else was protesting. I did it because I was pissed off at the government, and they were starting another war. And here I was, we'd gotten over the Vietnam War and I protested it back in the 60s and 70s. Knew people who went there and came back messed up. Um, then my brother was in the first Gulf War. And then I've known other people who were, in Afghanistan and everything. I worked with a guy that, he went over there for a year and then came back and we had conversations and so forth. A really nice, big giant black man, kind, soft spoken person and very intelligent, and the kind you would not think who was a sniper, you know. Um, but anyway, it's the quiet ones you got to watch out for. But he and I were friends, and I really appreciated his friendship, and he told me about things and stuff, and in confidence, because he didn't really have anybody to chat with, and we'd sit around, after hours, kind of thing, and he'd have conversations with me, and I'm proud that he did, because I was like, golly, I got I got to hear firsthand from a man who just came back from Afghanistan, who is a sniper, to tell me about how this and that, and how they had to do, and how they got dropped off, and how they were under fire, and how he was wounded, and how, and holy shit. And I worked with this guy for, let's see, 6 years, and he was in the reserve, so he got called up and spent a year overseas. But for him to come back, and we'd been friends before he went. We were still friends when he got back, but to discuss it, and so, but anyway, and there's mimicry in the armed forces. Now, I've not been in the armed forces, but family members, brother in the Navy, granddaughter in the Navy, other friends of mine, well, Barry, he was, he's a friend of mine, but he was in the Air Force, and I knew friends of mine in the Air Force when I lived in Tampa because of MacDill Air Force Base, and so I've been around military families and folks who have served in combat, folks who've been wounded, and it just not me, because I had my leg broken, and I had all the issues with that. So I'm not a candidate, was not a candidate uh, early on for going to war, and that might have been a good thing, because I was ready to be a Marine. So I probably would have learned otherwise, but um, so I became a protester instead, especially after seeing people come back from the war. So there's mimicry in the war, in that we have to, the that some of the battle plans and some of the battle tactics are still being used from Sun Moon, or some Chinese guy, or some tactics that the great Khan used when he was doing his thing in Mongolia, and then the Greeks and the 300, and these guys and the Romans, and how they used different tactics, and the short swords, and how weapons have evolved, and just the whole 9 yards, right? And so, how even to this day we're still using similar tactics, and because these battle plans and things, so it's mimicry, it's copycat, it's using something old into the new, and how do we use this into our advantage? And sometimes it is funny to watch looting guys, how they loot 55 soil blacks. Yeah. You hardly ever see anyone looting groceries. It's always electronics. Yep. If I was a degenerate waste of life, I'd be looting all the eggs that would fit in the cart. Yeah, looting was just never, when we were protesting and stuff back in the day, there were those odd folks that were like, let's destroy something. But most of us were like, I mean, as protesters, we were like, hey, don't throw that rock. That's stupid. Why would you want to? You know, if you want to throw a rock, go throw a rock at that idiot over there, but don't throw a rock at this innocent man's building and break his window. That's stupid. Why would you do that? You know, so there are those, you know, I